It felt like everything with this tribe had to do with hunting and hunting stories. You could really tell like these were the original storytellers. What I loved about going here is you hear people say, oh man, if I had a time machine, it'd be cool to see how people lived thousands of years ago. That's it.
Yeah.
That it's everywhere they walked, they could find food. They would see honey in a tree. They would pick berries. They would see sticks that they liked and cut them off. And then they would, when they hang out by the fire in the morning or night, they smoke cigarettes nonstop, and they bend the arrows with their teeth to get them straight because they look so perfect. It looks like, where'd you buy that from? No, I made it from a piece of wood. I know how to spot the wood. And they have different types of arrows too. So they have an arrow with poison on it that's meant for piercing a bigger animal. And I saw how they make the poison. They make it from a tree. They have this type of tree. They squeeze they kind of dig into it, get the pulp from the inside and squeeze it, and then cook that down. And then that, once it pierces an animal, will help kill it faster. They put it behind the head of the arrow. But then they also have arrows where it'll look like a wine cork at the end of the arrow, and that's for shooting little birds because you're not going to use the same tool. Then they'll have a little arrow with like a hook at the end. So that would be for some kind of a rodent that likes to go in rocks. So you hook it, and now you can pull it out when it tries to get away. So they have a whole arsenal of different arrows in their pack. And this is all these guys are about. It's just hunting, day and night hunting. And they just must get such an incredible rush or dopamine spike from just like conquering the animal. And the second day, so the first day I get there in the afternoon, I eat the vervet monkey with them. The second day is time to go out hunting. And at the time, I'm in pretty good shape. It's a bit post-COVID, so that maybe affected me. But man, we went for 8 miles. There's no paths. It's just rocks. It's trees, and they know how to dodge. There's so many sticky trees and bushes, and these guys, they move like Neo in the Matrix through everything, and they have no issues. They're not wearing shirts, and I'm just getting stuck on everything. I'm getting poked. I'm getting stabbed. I made it before we ran out of water and energy. I made it about 5-6 hours, and they didn't get anything in that time except for one small bird. I had to go back because I lost them. These guys there would be a tiny, they're also smaller than me, but there'd be a tiny opening in some shrubs, and they would just go in. And at some point, I was like, I can't fucking do it. They're so fast. I go back to camp. I wait a couple hours. They show up with something called a clip springer. It looks like a little fuzzy, cute mountain goat with 2 horns that go straight out like this. And what's amazing is they're not like, check it out, look what I did. They're like, here's dinner. There was no bravado, at least that I could see among the men there. And so that's what we had for dinner that night.
Well, I guess it's because they do it every day. I mean, that's how they live.
I guess so. And maybe the bravado would come out if they got a baboon. And
the baboon. So why is the baboon the prized species?
I think they like the taste.
Really?
I think that's literally it. I think they just like the taste of the meat.
Did they talk about that?
Oh, they talk about...
They speak English? You had a translator?
No. So we had a translator. What's interesting is they speak a clicking language. Like the main guy I spoke to, his name was Chaba, and there's another guy called like Ufufu. And they speak in this amazing click language, and they do a lot of impersonating, and they'll talk about the arrow, and when they talk about the arrow, they'll go like this with their elbow, point their elbow out like a bow. And so it's kind of half sign language or just there's a lot of gesticulations and speaking going on at the same time. And I had a translator.
So can I hear what they sound like?
The baboon. And they ambush and they go to hunting.
Wow.
It's their favorite is baboon. It's the traditional for them. If maybe they go to hunting, they hear sound of the baboon. And they ambush.
Wow.
Yeah.
Translator's over top too, so
What's that, Jay?
it was 2 voices. You could hear the translator and
Yeah.
What's funny about the translator is his English felt limited sometimes. So I was like, hey, man, are you better at English or at the click language? Oh, way better at the click language.
Wow.
I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I grew up next to these guys. He didn't say it like that. But
and so this is their homemade bow and arrow that they have?
yes. Yeah, and so obviously the pots, the steel, that stuff's given to them, but most everything else is homemade or of their own making.
Wow. So how many days were you there with these folks?
3.
And how often do they get a baboon?
So maybe once a week or every couple weeks, which was astonishing to me because it's like, are there really that many baboons out there to get?
So it seems like their primary food source is primates.
So it's a number of things. Yeah, it's monkeys. It could be birds. It could be rodents. The cliff springer you can see in a different episode on the third one on the right. You can see the cliff springer. And so they can get antelope, small antelope. There's a number of different creatures that they can get. Yeah, that's a cliff springer right there. So that's a pretty impressive size. And, they don't have refrigerators. So right there, she's tasting the poison. The poison is bitter, and if she can taste it, she spits it out and cuts that part out. So they've used the poison there, and that's her job as like kind of the granny of the group to make sure she gets the poison parts taken out.
And do they form their own arrowheads? I see these like homemade arrowhead looking things.
So my understanding is that there's a tribe next to them who's not Hadzabe. The Datoga tribe was near them. That's where the ladies kill and eat the liver, the cow and eat the liver and blood. And they will trade with that village. I'm not sure exactly what they're trading, but they will like trade arrows for something else, maybe for meat or for something else.